Evening all, welcome to Series 3 of Kicking Dust. Now you may be wondering, why have we started Series 3 at this kind of arbitrary point in the game? Well, there's a good reason for that. It was the new year and we decided that we're going to kind of change the channel a little bit. And the really reason behind this was, sometimes you get to a point where you think, right, okay, that's done, draw a line under that, that's kind of it. And we've done that with Series 2 of Kicking Dust in terms of the Kicking Dust, Fitting Dust, and Tactics and Dust. Those are the three channels we do. And we're just changing them all to Series 3 to kind of just maybe take a breath and say, done. This also comes from a bit of a kind of change of ethos, if you like, from the channel as well. I think we've pushed our luck a little bit lately. I think we've been quite annoying. Some quite, important and decent people in the game. So I think our nature of trolling people, I think, is not done us too many favors. Let me explain why. This comes from a kind of propensity, if you like, from our desire and our backgrounds. Because, we come from sort of the Goon Swarm era of EVE. We come from somethingawful.com, and I think that really is why sometimes we can be major dickbags. And I think we decided to end Series 2 with a very nice video. Hopefully you've seen it. It's the year review of 2013 of Dust, and that was really nice to do because it was actually quite a privilege actually to sit there and go through many dozens or hundreds even of Dust videos that we've done and actually just summarize what we thought were the highlights. Now, it was done with a view just to be quite positive about the game, so I know a lot of people were a little bit kind of like, you didn't mention Eon, you didn't mention this and that. I'm sorry about that. That was by design. We wanted to kind of try and keep it as upbeat as we could, so we didn't talk about TTK and railgun tanks and all that. I think just because sometimes it's nice to maybe just review something with an analytical and critical eye, yet while also praising and supporting, if you like. So that's kind of why we did that. And I think after we'd done that, it was pretty evident that we should probably just take a breath and then start anew. So that's what we're doing now in Series 3. Series 3 will be a much less trolly place, but still lots more humour. So we're going to try and do a bit more kind of a bit more of an interesting review of the game. We're going to try and focus on certainly the more lighter aspects of the game. I think there are certainly issues with the balance. There's certainly issues with some of the content, but we're not going to kind of wave the flag either way here, or left, right. And I promise there'll be no more, buff the Flaylock jokes, because it was all a joke. It was all a one lengthy, almost 7-month-long troll that I think people thought I was being quite serious about. So that's our New Year's resolutions. How about yourself? Have you got New Year's resolutions? I certainly do. I think when it comes to Dust, I'm really going to also try and start running tanks so much. So we're going to start looking at things like dropships as well. And we're also going to focus once again on the infantry game. I ran a few rounds earlier actually as a scout, and I died continually. And that just shows you when you become a bit rusty, it's not great. Also in the game, we're showing you some kind of tank footage. This was shot, I think, maybe just a couple of days before New Year's Day. And I was completely drunk, although I managed to survive an orbital, so I'm quite pleased with that. I've got to admit, as tanking comes, it is quite fun. I know tanking is causing a lot of issues lately. I think you're either on one side of the fence or the other. I think a lot of people don't like the power, certainly, of the railguns, the power, certainly, or the availability, if you like, of the fits. But I'd probably say, it's something that just needs a little bit of a tweak here or there, because I'm really enjoying going into a map with my tank, but not necessarily sort of bothering too much with infantry, more focusing on the other tanks, because I find that a real challenge. It's very similar to EVE, and if you've never played EVE, then tank versus tank is literally as close as you can get to EVE, which is all about two vehicles meeting each other, and then your ability to orbit, attack, hit, activate your modules at the right time, etc., and then kill your opponent. And so when two tanks meet, it literally is like PvPing in EVE. And I don't know if you watch Eddie Rio's channel for some of his latest EVE PvP montages, because romantics they're called, because you'll see that actually a lot of what he does in that game is very similar to what we do in Dust as a tanker. So it's all about, you know, engaging. Unfortunately, it does come about numbers as well. So 2 tanks versus 1 generally wins, which not always, but generally. So I think, you know, certainly it's worthy having a look at that. But again, I'm sure this is something that over the next few weeks, months, and certainly years is going to change again quite massively. Because when I think where we were, you know, January 1st, 2013, I remember playing Dust, and it was a very different game to what we've got now. So I think it has come an astonishingly long way. In that time, more so than many other games. Even, you know, things like Battlefield 3 to Battlefield 4 haven't changed as considerably as what Dust has changed in just a year. So I think, you know, really now is probably the time to get an interest back within the game, because FW is very good. Lots of issues obviously with balancing of the things, but as a system, as a mechanic, it's very enjoyable. Tanking is good fun as well. I think, you know, yes, there needs to be something that happens to it, don't know what, but I think certainly there needs to be a little bit of a, I guess, a tweak here or there. I think also when it comes to just generally the way the game is running at the moment as well, it is pretty stable, it's pretty fun, lots of kind of good battles happening. I wouldn't say there's a great deal of proto-stomping going on. I think at the moment the stomping is kind of railgun tanks and tanks generally, I think. But if you don't mind calling in your own tanks and you can afford it, you can afford the losses rather, you'll have a real blast literally fighting tank v tank. But again, you know, I know that there's going to be a challenge if you only run infantry. Maybe now, just as a suggestion, maybe now is the time to broaden your fits with a simple tank fit. Even militia gear is good. This tank I run, which I've done the montages of, etc., is all basic. At least I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. I did have a complex fit, but I've actually just, you know, messed about with it, and most of it is now basic stuff. It's a basic railgun blaster. It's a basic hardener. Admittedly, at that point, I didn't even realize I was taking damage, so that shows you how stupid I am. But it's a pretty cheap fit, and that single tank is worth around the same as my prototype suit, which I would lose 5 or 6 in a match. So to me, it kind of makes good sense. I've only lost 2 tanks at the moment, and yet I still come in and have fun. And I think certainly, you know, when you get into these maps where you have tank v tank fights, it is exhilarating. It really is. So there we go. So I think, you know, just generally try and, you know, find something within the game that you enjoy. I think, you know, CCP are doing some really good moves. We actually just played around with CCP Saberwing. We're bringing that video very soon. That was pretty cool. Judge Radamanthius, I always get his name wrong, and I myself played with CCP Saberwing, and that was pretty cool. And you'll be pleased to know we didn't ask him a single question. We just played the game, which is always nice. But you could expect that video soon. But I think it's just, you know, there is a lot of cool kind of stuff happening. I think there's a lot of very interesting kind of you know, future stuff that's coming down the road. I know a lot of people are really kind of keen to get things balanced, tweak, nerf, change, whatever, but you know, I would just stress, you know, try and enjoy the game for what's in it at the moment. I've always generally done that as a rule. So obviously tanks are powerful at the moment and they're fun, so I'm doing tanks and they're fun. But very soon, you know, it could be dropships next that are really cool and fun, blah, 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 blah. So, you know, do try and plug into, you know, the game in the way that gives you enjoyment. Don't always try and force the fit. I think, you know, you must probably have seen, if you've seen the channel since I started, I used to run scout suits, I used to run, you know, prototype Caldari assault suits, blah, blah, blah. You know, you just have to kind of adapt you have to roll with the punches, as we used to say. So there we go. So I think that, as a summary, hopefully gives you a bit of a taste of what's coming in Series 3 of Kicking Dust. Now, we are going to do the Dust, the Arse Labs as well. Hopefully you've seen those videos. If you have ideas for Arse Lab ideas, please send them in and tell me if you're willing to show me these tactics as well, because I usually get sent an email and it's usually saying, right, do this, do this, do this, and then I do it and I can't replicate it, or I just end up ballsing it up and then the video looks a bit crap. So if you're willing to show me some of this, I'd be very grateful for that. And I think certainly we're looking for kind of, you know, just funny, cheeky, silly ideas that people can do with vehicles. And we had a really nice few come in with LAVs that we'll show you hopefully very soon. So, you know, don't be afraid to send me an in-game email or send me a comment on the channel or whatever it may be, and we'll hook up and do it. So there we go, a defeat. And again, a great example of where you can have all the vehicles and air support in the game, and you still lose. So I think don't underestimate the infantry game. It's still pretty much the critical part of this. But again, hopefully enjoyed that. We are loving the tanking kind of mixture of aerial and tank support. And I think as the game develops, we'll see how that morphs on into other things. I think, the game is pretty fun at the moment. So I would stress, if you are, if you're tempted to come back, give it a try, give it a go. I think you'll find something that you enjoy within there, I'm certain. And I think if you don't, then post in the comments and tell us maybe what is still missing. All of this is always, useful stuff to feedback to the people that make this game. And I think, as it stands, let's see where we are maybe a year from today. So as I utter these words to your ears right now, this will hopefully be appearing in the 1st of January 2015, when we're all fighting drones and, we're literally plugged into mech suits and kicking the hell out of aliens or something like that. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.